Hi, it's me, Ro, author of Speaking from Spirit, and I want to wish you a happy 2025. Here we are, 2025. I know it's been a minute since I've done a video, but I wanted to start this new year by doing a brief video and kind of talking a little bit about what's coming up for this very power packed year of 2025. So, we are starting this year 2025 as a 9 global year. I get that by adding 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. And 9 years, a year of release and letting go and completions and culmination. It's a time where we reap the rewards of all of our efforts and where all the things that we've been working on come to fruition. It's also a time where there may be endings of things. Things have to complete and end so we can go on to the next thing. You have to leave first grade to go on to second grade. So, with that, there's always a little grief and sadness because we never really like letting things go, even when we know that they need to be done or we're ready to move on. There's always like a little nostalgia with that. So I want you to expect that. I want you to know that that comes. And I want you to know that sometimes in a 9 year, we do revisit old griefs, but in a different way, a way to process them or understand them, which will lead to this great opening of compassion. We're starting this New Year's with a Mars retrograde. So that began in December, beginning of December, but the setup was back in October 2024. So it was like stirring the pot of things that we were maybe going to have to deal with or that were coming up again. And then we started the retrograde December, and it's going to go into February. And then the integration is actually going to go until like the end of April. So, what does this mean? Mars retrograde really creates some combustible energy, let me say it like that, meaning we could get angry, we could get frustrated, we could feel inert, we could feel like we want to do something, but we can't seem to get it off the ground. But we really want to watch for the explosive anger coming up from inside of us. Now, in yoga, we would say that nothing on the outside makes us feel any way. Something on the outside triggers a feeling that's already inside of us and wakes it up and brings it to the surface. So there may be this explosive anger coming up from within you. You just don't want to act from that or speak from that. It'll be hard enough not to think from that, but definitely not act from it or speak from that. You want to step back from it, understand, maybe channel it into some very big movements that will create change, like convert it to passion and make it something that will create a lasting and good change. But you don't want to act in the moment. You want to practice emotional maturity with this. And I'm not going to tell you it'll be easy, especially because there's going to be a lot of things on the outside that may be triggering us. But the 9 is a very spiritual number, and so it's going to draw us in and make us come to ourselves and really check in with our intuition and seek the answer. So one of the greatest things with the 9 is it's going to strengthen our our ability to hear our intuition, but also to connect to divinity. And so if you're not of that place, best believe this is going to be the year where you start to go, why God, why? Or what's happening? Or why is this happening? And in that, you're going to crack open that divinity that's always been there for you, that's always been helping you, but you're going to become more conscious of it. If you're already conscious of it, even better, you're going to use it more. And so, one of the ways that you can use this 9 energy is to surrender everything to it. So, when we're in this Mars retrograde and we're having our moments of volatile emotions or stuff on the outside is happening that's making us get a little out of our peace, you're going to say, I'm going to just surrender this all to creator, to divinity, to God, to the universe, to spirit, to whatever word you want to use. Take my anger, take my frustration, take my sorrow, take my grief, take my worry, take it and you do something with it, recycle it, turn it into something good, but get it off of me. I surrender it all to you. This would be a great practice to do every night, to tell you the truth, before you go to sleep. Clear it all off. Because when we don't, let's face it, we don't sleep. We wake up at 2 a.m. and we can't, our minds are going and going and going. So this is one of the things that I would offer to you as a tool to work with this year. Um, I'm starting a new year with a hip replacement, and oh boy, that started in, I had that in the beginning of December, so right as the Mars retrograde, which does deal with bones, um, happened. So I was really thrown into a lesson of patience and really trying to learn how to be still and not move too fast and to be very mindful. And patience is not one of my virtues. I will tell you that right now. And being limited and having my freedom clipped even worse. So I went from having a hip problem with a little bit of limited movement or getting more limited in my ability to move to total non-movement. That only lasted about a week, 10 days, to then every day now regaining a little bit more movement and freedom and painlessness and flexibility and getting it all back. So I'm still like very much at the beginning of that yellow brick road, but as I move through this year, I'm hoping to gain more and more. There's a lot of things that are going to shift this year. The astrologers are really talking about this being a very unprecedented year, partly because all the outer planets are shifting into a new sign, and that being Aries, which is kind of impulsive. Um, but also, this Pluto now changed into Aquarius, which is going to bring up a lot of upheaval as well. And just a lot of different things with the North Nodes. I'm no astrologer, so I can't really speak on this, but I will tell you who will. In my online group, my online spiritual group, on January 7th, our first meeting, we're going to have Master Astrologer Jack Hopkins, and he is going to talk all about the astrological aspects and what they mean and how to work with them, or how to understand them at least. So that's going to be on January 7th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to talk about the numerology and how that pertains to your personal numerology on my Super Soul class, which is on Saturday, January 11th. So these are these two ways I usually like to start the new year, to understand what might be ahead and how to navigate what's coming up and what it means for me personally, like how it's going to affect my health, how it's going to affect my finances, how it's going to affect my relationships, and how it's going to definitely affect my work. So uh, those two programs are available. I will offer them outside of this subscription, but you could always become an online spiritual community member, and then you would have access to everything and work with me once a month. You could go to my website for all that information, www.rosemarierubinetticapiello.com. Anyway, this 9 year is going to be a time to be more reflective. And again, while the outside may seem very volatile, you're going to find your answers inside you, in your heart, not in your head, because your head will go, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. It's going to think things, but it's not going to know things. Your heart of knowing is going to know, and it's going to know how to help you navigate through what's ever going on in your own personal life, or in your community, or in your country, or in the global community. So that's going to be really important to remember, to redirect back in and not think too much, and definitely not take anything from the outside as the word. You have to really feel if it feels true, because lots of things are just words. Most things are just beliefs, which are not necessarily truths, or not necessarily true for everybody, that's for sure. And you have to come to your own truth. and that's only going to be found inside of you. Remember that the 9 year is about letting go. So if things go, they're meant to go. If something comes to an end, your job, your home, a relationship, it's supposed to. This is letting go of something that you don't even know you need to let go of, so something new can begin, which is more in 2026. It's also a time where you may decide to let some things go, especially relationships that are non reciprocal. That's going to be a big theme this year. Like, I'm not getting as much as I give here, so I don't know why I'm still doing this. Whether that's a relationship with a person, a place, or a thing. Um, 9 brings up our ancestors. So our ancestral support is going to be great this year, meaning all the ones that came before you that you don't even know. Think Yellowstone. Think Yellowstone. All the historical stuff that came before that you didn't even know that affects you is going to come up to for review. So there's 7 ancestral wounds. We look at them and see where they pertain to our families. But there's also going to be the power, the wisdom, the support, the love, the strengths of your ancestors coming up this year, as well as your guides, your angels, your power animals. You're going to be more in tune to that. Or let me say this, let me say it like this. You should be more in tune to that this year, and you should delve into developing those relationships as primary relationships. 9 is very associated with intuition, so expect it to be strong. And if you're already very much aware and grounded to your intuition, you're going to own it even more this year. If this is a foreign concept to you, guess what? You're not going to be able to avoid it this year. 9 is also associated with the direction of the north, the season of the winter. It is sometimes the spiritual winter, which we call the dark night of the soul. So some of us may be going through some of that this year. But that also pertains to your personal numerology year, which I will explain how to figure out and get to again in Super Soul on January 11th. So um, every planet is going to go into a retrograde at some time this year, hopefully not all at once. Um, we have a 9 year completion, so things in the global community are going to be coming to an end. Some systems, some processes, some ways of doing things, and so again, endings can be a little jarring. But if we move into acceptance of them, and if we surrender our own will to what is and accept everything as it's exactly the way it's supposed to be, we'll land in our peace. And that's going to be the most important, is holding our peace, holding our grace, coming to forgiveness and reconciliation with the past, and staying in our own center, again, our peace, because that's going to be the vibration that will then affect this world in an extremely positive way. It'll affect you mentally, physically, emotionally in a very positive way. So it may not be easy to do that this year, but it will be essential to do that. And you're not going to find that on the outside. In other words, you're not going to be able to find a maladaptive way of dealing with what triggers you anymore. You're going to be forced to come to yourself and to look for your peace inside. I can help you with that. That's my job. That's my specialty. So again, everything, you could go to my website. So this is how you can connect to me. I got a lot of free libraries this year, 26 library events through New Jersey. Usually libraries let anybody in, so you could go to them, sign up, and come to any of them. You can join my online spiritual community and work with me once a month. We meet by Zoom. It has a lot of benefits too. You could subscribe to my email, which is also through my website, and that way you'll get a weekly energy alert from me, a little communication. You could always email me, and I will absolutely email you back. I'm not going to be doing a lot of private readings this year. My focus is really on my spiritual mentors that are already booked for this year. So I'm not going to have a lot of private readings or group readings available this year. But again, I have free events. I have email that you can connect to me, and you can always become part of my group. Go to my website, www.rosemarierubinetti.com, or you could go to speakingfromspirit.com, the name of my book. That will also bring you to my website. Oh, which, by the way, turned 10 years old October um, 2024 was the 10-year birthday of my book, which brought me to all the libraries. And just to remind you, it is available on Amazon.com. So if you haven't read it, you can go get it there. You can also email me, and I will mail you literally through the post office a signed copy of my book. Um, and if you did read it, it may be a good book to reread this year, especially January, because the messages in it are so important and are so much of a higher consciousness. So, again, that's available through my website too. In the meantime, this is what I'm hoping. I am hoping, I'm putting it out there. I'm not hoping, I'm commanding, creator of all that is, to bring you all of the blessings that you deserve because you are so magical and wonderful and special and divine. You deserve everything good and all the goodness that this universe has to offer you. This is my command to this universe, to divinity, to bring that to you, to me, to the world, to everybody in it, because as divine beings that we do not deserve anything less than that. So that's my big message. I hope you are good, and I hope you stay in contact with me this year. And I just want to say it is me, Ro, wishing you peace.